Hello everyone and welcome to another live protocol video. So on this video I'm going to be focusing on the ESTJ personality type and using Donald Trump, and at the same time explaining why I believe he is in fact an ESTJ. I know a lot of people think he's an ESTP, other people think he's an ENTJ, but using my system I concluded that the best fitted type for Donald Trump is in fact an ESTJ, and I will give you a comprehensive explanation in the video. So without further ado, let's go to the video. So I'm in the middle of a new series analyzing popular characters and subsequently their MBTI types, and I chose Donald Trump to be the poster boy for the ESTJ personality type. But as with everything that involves Donald Trump, there's always a good chance that controversy will arise or ensue. So as a disclaimer, I'm not political at all. It's not my place to choose sides. What I try to do with my channel is I try to bring a different form of understanding and try to promote acceptance. So the way I see it, if something exists, there's a reason for it, otherwise it would become extinct or just disappear. So it's not my place to choose what's right or wrong, because at the end of the day it all really boils down to a matter of perspective. So I'm not against or for Trump. I'm also not trying to incite anger or trying to provoke the ESTJ community. I would be way too scared to do such a thing. So I have a different way of characterizing the types, or in other words, a different system that you might not be used to, and that is what I want to share with you. First, I want to put my ideas to the test, get different opinions, and refine or correct the parts of this system that might be not working optimally, or may be just plain wrong. So let's try to make this like a group effort. So I ask you to please leave your thoughts in the comments, if you agree, if you disagree, and the reasons for it, because I'm always willing to learn and explore different viewpoints. So my system is based on assuming that the cognitive functions actually stem from traumas, and I identified 8 different traumas for the 8 cognitive functions, and that is how I'll be analyzing Donald Trump. So let's begin with the ESTP, because a lot of people think that he's an ESTP. So ESTP's first function is SE, or extroverted sensing, or what I like to call the fear of incarceration, being trapped, caged, or just simply having their freedom being completely stripped away from them. So people with dominant extroverted sensing, even with secondary extroverted sensing, they go their entire lives wanting to experience life and see how much enjoyment they are able to extract from the moment. They're people more oriented to the present, let's say. So they live in the present and they try to avoid thinking too much about the future, because the future is a source of anxiety due to their repressed NI, or introverted intuition. Okay, let me explain this. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you're probably familiar with the concepts of the cognitive functions, and that they are not singular. These functions, as well as everything else in the universe, have a binary element to them. This means that having extroverted sensing as their dominant function necessarily means having repressed introverted intuition as a consequence. So in the same manner that someone with a dominant introverted intuition necessarily means they have repressed extroverted sensing. So SE and NI are forever interlinked, and the same happens with all the functions. So when I think about Donald Trump, I don't see him having freedom or trying to enjoy the moment or indulging in the pleasures of the senses as his main priority. In fact, I doubt that ESTPs would even think that bearing the enormous responsibility of being the President of the United States to be a good thing. The time one needs to dedicate to the job, the stress, all the impositions and the rules that come with it are not something that I see ESTP salivating over. So not to mention Donald Trump's corporate career. ESTPs don't like corporate jobs. They avoid them as much as possible. Well, of course, this is a broad generalization. I'm sure that somewhere in the world there might be ESTPs working corporate jobs, but I don't think they enjoy them very much. Let's now analyze the ENTJs and ESTJs' first cognitive function, TE, or extroverted thinking, or what I like to call in my system of traumas, the trauma of abandonment. I believe that extroverted thinking stems from the trauma of abandonment. And why abandonment? Because people who live with the stigma of having been abandoned feel they're not good enough. They feel like they are not worthy. So this prompts them to try to prove themselves over and over again. Dominant TE types, ENTJs and ESTJs, spend their lives looking to accomplish and achieve, so they bury themselves in projects and goals and in the attempt to fill that hole that the abandonment stigma left in them. So this doesn't mean that they had to be abandoned during the course of their lives, they were just born like that. So, and seeing that the highest representation of success in our society, or the way people prove their worth, is to amass as much money and power as possible. And that is what I believe to be the reason behind their otherwise unexplainable financial success, right? It's no coincidence that ENTJs and ESTJs are the highest earners of all the types, and not by a little either, by a large margin. So the problem is that no matter how much they achieve, they are still unable to fill that void, to fill that hole. So they fall victims to the compulsion of constant achieving and goal completion. After they accomplish a goal, they look for another one that they may deem to be higher in their perceived hierarchy, all to prove their worth in the end. So this means that people with strong TE, main life's disposition is to accomplish as much as possible. But there's also another side effect of the trauma of abandonment. It removes the barriers to entry. Let me elaborate. So, more sensitive people may not take action due to their fear of failure. More thinking types might overthink things and succumb to analysis paralysis. Others might just evaluate the pros and cons, factor in the energy expenditure, and end up deeming the project not worth pursuing. Others may be just too scattered. But ENTJs and ESTJs readily jump into action because the need to prove themselves is so overwhelming. That means those barriers to entry are simply just not there. In fact, the opposite happens. They feel compelled to go and do. So it seems to me that from what I know about Donald Trump, and to be honest, it's not a lot, but I would say sufficient to realize that he's definitely not an ESTP. But the glove of TE seems to fit quite right. So now that I've established in my mind, to me, I'm not trying to convince you, I'm just explaining my reasoning, right? So now that I've established that he's not an ESTP and that he leads with TE or extroverted thinking, another question arises. Which type with dominant TE is he? ENTJ or ESTJ? And for that, we will analyze the secondary function of each type. For ENTJs, that is NI or introverted intuition. So in my system of traumas, NI, introverted intuition, is characterized by the trauma of betrayal. This makes people with strong NI to focus primarily on not being backstabbed or betrayed in the future. So in order to protect themselves from treachery, their brains became extremely proficient at strategy, pattern recognition, pondering future implications, and demanding blind loyalty. This makes them very good long-term planners, which to me, from what I know about Donald Trump, doesn't seem to fit very well. I don't think he is indeed a very good strategist. But let's now analyze the secondary function of the ESTJ, the other type with dominant TE. The secondary function of the ESTJs is introverted sensing or SI, and in my system of traumas, SI is characterized by the fear of the unknown or change, because change always comes with the unknown. You cannot separate one from the other. The reason why people are so scared of change is because of its unknown factor. So people with high SI, they dislike change. They prefer to leave things as they are because changing things can lead to a worse reality. They love to control things. That's what they do best. So therefore, they might adopt, the ESTJs, they might adopt more of a role of an enforcer, a manager, a supervisor, instead of a visionary leader. ESTJs are very cautious when it comes to deviating from the established procedures, so they excel in implementing and managing the systems that have already been established. So they are traditionalists. So I would say that ENTJs are better fitted to be visionary leaders, more focused on the future because of their introverted intuition, second, and ESTJs are better fitted to be enforcers or guardians, more focused on the past and on tried and proved methods. Yes, and there it is, my reasoning to why I believe Donald Trump is in fact an ESTJ. And remember everyone, according to my system of traumas, Donald Trump, as well as all ESTJs, heck, all of us, we are all on a constant struggle to cope with, override, suppress, or conquer our traumas. So I think we should try to understand the hidden subconscious motivations of others before casting stones, because if you do, it's only a matter of time before the same is done to you, and the cycle continues. No one ever breaks it. So not why strive to understanding each other instead of judging each other, because like I always say, understanding breeds acceptance.
If you liked the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. That will allow us to keep making more videos like this. For more related content, please click on one of the suggested videos. Thank you for watching.